Welcome to the channel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Today, for your viewing pleasure, I've got the SteelDive SD1975, or better known as the Seiko Tuna Homage. This watch was featured on the best Tuna Homage compilation I did a while back. I've just got them in from SteelDive. I'm just going to go through the review. Now, the reason I'm covering quite a lot of SteelDive recently is because due to my working relationship with them, I've got a good opportunity to get obviously hold of their pieces. So seeing as I've missed quite a lot of I'd say crucial pieces regarding the SteelDive brand, I'm just using this opportunity sort of to catch up. Just to clarify because I say working relationship, that doesn't mean they send me free watches. My working relationship is just with them. I actually buy every piece, therefore every piece that I review, I sell it later on eBay or wherever, or if I keep a piece or two for myself. My affiliation, to clarify, is just with Aliexpress. What that basically means is I give you the link. I think most of you guys can figure it out. I give you the link, you use my link, I get commission from Aliexpress. That's all it is. It doesn't cost you any more. So that's how this game works. So let's open the boxes. Let's see what's going on. So I ordered two pieces. I've got the SteelDive in the stainless steel with a engineer style bracelet, and then I've ordered the PVD black version with the dive strap. So I've got the watches out of their boxes, ripe and ready for review. Before I continue, you know the script. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, join this channel. One of the best things about my channel, I'd say, is the content is there. It's not the biggest, but on the content side of it, the comment section is great. I think it's one of the best comment section here. We've got some really great minded subscribers that know what they're talking about. A lot of times people look to the reviewers to tell them what's what. I don't agree with that. I think you should also have your own information before you look at a review. As it has been mentioned, you know, it doesn't take, you can just put two and two together. If your reviewers are heavily affiliated, you know, they're getting free products, this, that, the other, you know, it's in their best interest to try and sell the watch. However, you know, try and remain well informed. So I think one thing I'm grateful for, like I said, the subs are pretty much well informed. You know, you have your own ideas there as well. So don't just take everything I say as you know, like it's written in stone. As mentioned, these watches do, you know, they come with a lot of inconsistencies. So you might see one on here where the bezel might click a certain way. Don't expect that on your next one. If you get it the same, bang on. You might get it better, you might get it worse. But with Aliexpress, they do have a 90-day money-back guarantee. For the most part, the suppliers are really helpful. They will resolve your issues. Okay, enough said. So let's have a look. Stainless steel. I've got it with the engineer bracelet, and I've got the PVD with a rubber dive strap. I think I'll start with the PVD version. I'll give you a quick rotation, give you a chance to view the watch fully. First impressions, the watch does look extremely well made. You can see from the finishing, you know, the finishing's there. There's a very decent weight to the watch. let's start off by covering the dimensions. So this watch, being a tuna case, it's a 47.5 millimeters all around. That includes the lug to lug and the diameter. As you can see from the bottoms, the lug protrudes slightly, but you're going to measure the lug to lug well from here, and the diameter, so the case, they all meet up, so you get a 47.5 mil all around. You've got 15 mil thick case, so this watch is on the larger side. However, with the 47.5 mil lug to lug, it's gonna sit quite well on smaller wrists. The only thing is it's gonna sit quite tall on the actual wrist. You've got a 22 mil lug width. Dimensions out of the way. Specifications, you know the score with SteelDive now. So you got a ceramic bezel insert, you've got a domed sapphire, AR coated sapphire crystal, you've got a hand winding and hacking NH35 movement, and a full PVD stainless steel case. 200 meters of water resistance. I'll take that back. 300 as it says on the dial. And you've also got a 120 click bezel. So look at the case back. 300 meters. Great. So a lot of water resistance. However, I don't know how far these are tested, to be honest. In my opinion, you know, you'll have SteelDive with 200 meters to 300. I don't know what the difference between the two is or what's required to get that additional 100 meters. But anyhow, so this is the PVD version. As you can see, it's black on black on black. Moving in onto the dial, you've got the Tuna style dial, and you've got printed indices. However, the indices that go around the dial, they are slightly three-dimensional and circular. 3 o'clock date window with a border around the date window. I prefer date windows to have at least a beveled edge border, or even just a line around it. I think a date window should be pointed out on a watch. Sometimes when you just glance past a watch and there is no date window that is highlighted, you can almost just look through it. As you can also see, the date wheel is black also to match the dial. We've got the SteelDive logo at 12 o'clock as per the usual standard, and Marine Master Professional 300 meters. Just with the Marine Master Professional 300 meters, it's good that they've gone for that. It's closer to the actual original watch. I know some people do prefer the dial to have Marine Master. I think one of the comments in the Tuna Homage video was the fact that it wasn't the Tuna Homage, I think it was the Marine Master one, where the dial said from Heimdall like Shark Master, etc, etc. So you've got that. You've got the Tuna hands. As you can see, you've got a brushed finish. The brushing is, I'd say, quite coarse because it is quite visible. Personally, I don't mind that. You've got that Tuna Turtle SKX style seconds hand, and this watch does come with a chapter ring in pre-installed. The dial doesn't have any type of finish on there, it's just a plain flat matte dial. Bezel insert, you've got a ceramic bezel insert. Quite a lot of shine from there. It's 120 click and it's got that Tuna shroud surrounding it. So let's check the rotation, the action. You know what, wow, that is really smooth. Tight clicks, not much for back play, as you can see. Alignment is just a touch off, but again, it's in line with the Seiko Tuna. So I think SteelDive are experimenting with different mechanisms. Over the last few watches, I have seen quite a variation in the action of the bezels. So maybe it's dependent on the case they use, but I'm definitely sure the mechanisms are quite different. I don't tend to open bezels on the China watches. Thing with Seikos, I know what mechanism is being used, so it's quite an easy mechanism to change and mess with. This as spring click. However, with the Chinese watches, they do use different methods. They've got one with a, you might have seen it in some modding videos, but it's just a, how can I put it? It's just a metal wire, quite a thick and stiff metal wire, where you've got a ratchet sort of design within the inside of the bezel insert, and then you've got this very thin wire frame that's built within in the bezel, and then it just fits on. But that's quite awkward to kind of open and to just generally mess with, so I'll stay away from that. But as mentioned on this, the bezel action is really good. No backplay. I prefer this bezel action, quite impressive. Comparing it to, just from my memory, the bronze Tuna I had, that bezel action wasn't as good as this. It was a bit clicky. It was making loud clicks, and it wasn't smooth or as smooth as this. Now with the Tuna shroud, it does have 1, 2, 3. Is it 3? Just double check that. It's got 3 screws holding the shroud in. Now the shroud can be removed on these models, so you've got these hex head screws, and if you get like one of those mini screwdrivers with all the bits, you can remove them. The case finish is done really nicely. It's a brushed finish, and you can see the brushing that goes all the way around the actual case or the shroud. The actual feel of the shroud, there's no sharp edges. Everything's been deburred nicely. It's been polished. Now regarding PVD coating, how well does it last? I think that just depends. I've not had many PVD watches. I have had experience with one where I think there was a slight knock, or while I was changing the bracelet, and a little scratch will of course remove that PVD coating. So you've got to kind of be careful with the watch. Crown, Tuna S crown, nice and chunky, very good to get a grip off. You can easily get hold of that. You've got the hand winding. 1 pop gives you the date change. 2 hacks stops that second hand dead in its tracks, allowing you to set the time. Click it back in. So the crown feels very solid indeed. It will be reliable. There's no fiddling with it. There's no little knack to get it back in. The screw down thread is perfectly fine. Turning it around, you can see the lugs. This is one of my favorite features about this watch. The lugs don't protrude quite as far as I've seen on some other Tuna models. So what that means is when you can put in any flat end bracelet and you won't be able to see a gap. You'll see that better when I move on to the stainless steel version. So case back is silver stainless steel. It's got the usual specifications around the actual case back with the SteelDive logo in the center. So I reckon it's about time we move on to the stainless steel version and give that a quick once over. Here we have the stainless steel version of the 1975. The dial, hands, ceramic bezel insert, case, everything is the same. The only thing different, this is not PVD coated. So I think because it's silver, we can have a closer look at some of the finishing around the case. Now, as you can tell, this is horizontal brushing. I will say this, the brushing is a lot more visible on these Homage watches. And I believe comparing it to Seiko's, you don't see the brushing as clear. So the brushing is of a finer standard on your usual Seiko Prospex watches. Ultimately, this is what you are paying for. You're paying a good amount for the actual quality and the fit and finish end of the watch when you are paying that premium. So this is what you'll get with the Chinese watches. You will have just slight inconsistencies, you will have slight issues, but I don't look into the watch that deep. You've got to remember the price point for these watches is fantastic. It is unbeatable. To give you ceramic, sapphire, NH35, to give you such a well-built, iconic case, a Tuna is going to set you back at least a few £100. And the higher, the top end ones, the ones that are 300 meters, and you've got the SteelDive versions. So that's a lot of money, but you can get a taste of that. Of course, you can experience that with just under £150, depending on who you use. So apart from that, and to be honest, I don't look that close. I think it's just worth noting. Let's have a bezel check. Yeah, very similar in the actual consistency between both pieces. Still smooth. Doesn't require a lot of effort to turn because you can't really get much of a grip. But that's plenty, and that is smooth. So as you can see, there is no SteelDive logo. I've gone with a sterile version. So keep an eye out for a SteelDive Tuna mod. This will be getting modded, and I'll share a picture when I have done the mod. So this bezel just lines up slightly better with the chapter ring. Ever so slight back play, nothing to be honest worth even calling out, but I just have. The indices, chapter ring line up pretty well. And the crown action is the same as the one that we just covered in the PVD. This is what I was talking about, the bracelet. So as you can see, the way the lug ends are, by the way, it's worth mentioning the lug ends are drilled, so that's a bonus. So you can't see a gap between the case and the bracelet. So that opens up your world to a whole host of bracelets you can get now. There is so many flat-ended bracelet options. This particular model comes with this, they call it the engineer style. So strap code, do a version of this. It's got 5 links, 3 across the top, 2 here within the actual bracelet, and they've also got a pressed clasp. I'm not a massive fan of these. I think within the Homages, the standard has sort of come to milled clasp, but with these bracelets, you can tell SteelDive just buy a bunch of them from different suppliers. It's not their own bracelet, so they haven't commissioned it. They haven't paid a factory to make it for them. They're just buying what's out there in bulk and just shipping it with the watch. I mean, I'm sure a lot of the suppliers are doing that. However, they're adding a bit more just to get milled clasps in there, just to add to that overall quality. This watch did take me by surprise. The thing is with SteelDive and comparing it to like Heimdall, other brands, they have very basic options. They do this in black, green, and blue. The green and the blue does have a sunray effect dial. I'm all for that. I like that. I do like the dials to have, some quality about it. I do like 3D indices. I like to see a sunray or sun pattern effect dial. I've kind of got bored from the plain and flat matte effect black dials. I think they do look quite boring. Yes, I understand it's trying to homage that, but they can change it up slightly. Saying that, yeah, this was for me. This was the starting point for all the Tuna Homages out there. But now, in my hand, I can see why they're so popular. I think, you know what? Can you justify adding another 50, 80 to 100? The difference is that you're gonna get. Is it worth that £100? That's what I would look at it. A lot of the time it's not going to be worth the extra bits that you're getting, but that is entirely subjective. You get what you pay for. So I think the extra 100 might give you that little extra fit and finish or different options. I know Proxima are one for really great dial options. Heimdall do a few different variants as well, and San Martin do their own variants. It's worth mentioning the SteelDive 1975 does actually come in bronze as well. I might look to get that in. I'm not too sure at the moment, but it is something I would like to look at. So mentally I can compare it against the Heimdall. Right, enough said on that. Let's see how this watch looks in the dark. So as you can see on the Lume front, usual SteelDive quality. The dial, the hands are C3 Super Luminova, and the bezel insert is the BGW9 blue Lume around the bezel insert. I actually like this. For a long time I was used to Seiko's green on green. So when I did see the first BGW9 C3 mix-up, I did like it a lot, but I'm aware it's not to everyone's liking. I will mention, because these 1975s have been out for a while now, I have seen a difference in the new dials compared to the older dials. I believe the Lume is of a slightly poorer quality. I think they are different grades. You've got Swiss, so you've got C3, C3 Luminova, and C3 Super Luminova. I could be wrong, but that's what I've gathered. So I think the newer dials, you can see the dial Lume is actually slightly duller. So talking about the 1970 and a lot of the upgraded models and the ones I've come out, especially in 2020 and maybe the back end of 2019. But with the 1975, the Lume on the dial matches the Lume on the hands. Very bright. The Lume does last quite long as well. So there's no complaints on at least the divers that SteelDive produce regarding Lume. Let's see how these watches fare on the wrist. What I have on today is the Seiko Flighty on the Paratrooper green and yellow strap. I thought I'd get some quartz watches out. I haven't worn quartz in a long time now. Just give them some use and justify them being a part of my collection. Okay, so the bracelet is obviously on. It's not been adjusted. So let's have a look. Yeah. So the 47.5mm in diameter and lug. It's a good fit on the wrist, so it doesn't look really out of place. My wrist is a 6.5-inch wrist. So even looking at thickness, it's 15. It will stand out a bit. I think if you're wearing a shirt, if you're wearing a jumper, anything long sleeved will sort of hide that. But if you're wearing it on a t-shirt and you've got skinny wrist, I think it will look odd, like you're wearing a yo-yo on your wrist. So just be mindful of that. It's not easy for us skinny wristed guys, is it? Let's try the black. And we have the PVD with the dive strap. This dive strap again does not suit small, skinny wrists. I've never been a fan of them anyway, to be honest. I think the newer ones on the newer Prospect models, they are different. They're a lot softer and they've got a lot more silicone in this, so they do sort of form around the wrist a bit better. But this is a bit tougher, to be honest. But with that, the way that lugs are made, you can put any 22mm flat end bracelet. And on Aliexpress you can find a lot of PVD bracelets now, so it's easy to get a strap for this if you're not happy with the one supplied. To summarize briefly, you know, I like to tell it as I see it on my reviews. I'd say the watch, it can't take me by surprise. I don't know if it's the difference in these steel dives is down to the actual design of the case as much. What I'm trying to say is there are a lot of inconsistencies across bezels and you know, a few little features. Now that's with Seiko as well, so I won't just divulge on that too much, but very impressed, I have to say. I love the bezel rotation. For me, I like divers, I like the bezels. Obviously I don't use it for diving, but you know, not many people do, but everyone likes to have a little turn off the bezel. That can be a make or break for me on certain watches. But the build quality, I like the domed crystal. I like everything on it. I think I can say SteelDive probably need to look at some different kind of dials, possibly, but it's not a must, because the price difference between this and just say the Heimdallr isn't a lot, to be honest. It comes down to I think 10 or $20 or pounds or whatever, and you get a lot more different options with the Heimdallr. Other than that, even the bracelet's nice. I know a lot of people prefer these kind of bracelets. Personally, I would have preferred a oysterish style, you know, where the lugs are slightly longer, or a hexad, which they also do in this. But overall, it is a good watch. I recommend, if you're just waiting to pull the trigger on one, I'd say recommend you go with this. So I will leave an Aliexpress store affiliate link in the bottom. I'll also leave my Instagram account and my email address, those of you that want to contact me. I will be modifying both of these. I've got a sterile case back for this, so I can do that, and I'll be modifying this as well. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.